Afternoon, everybody. It's 2 o'clock. It's Tuesday afternoon. Welcome to Foundations Live. So, good afternoon. Welcome, I said, to today's Foundations Live. I'm Paul from Foundations, and today's Foundations Live is all about how to extend a home with a disabled facilities grant. So, we're going to be talking and thinking about some of the kind of larger extension, I guess, kind of your typical bedroom, bathroom extension. And we've got a range of speakers here that are going to join us this afternoon. So, in a few minutes' time, we'll have Elias and Alex from Green Modular Construction. Then we'll be talking to another Alex and Charles from Price Doctor about how you can estimate the costs of extensions. And then finally, we've got Julie and his team from Ultraframe, who've got another way of doing home extensions as well. So all about home extensions this afternoon. And as usual, it'd be great to get all your comments and questions in the chat. So wherever you're watching today, whether you're on the Foundations website or on social media, please do contribute with your questions and comments.
Foundations Live.
Right, so if you haven't joined us before, welcome. We're Foundations. We're the national body for home improvement agencies and the Disabled Facilities Grant in England, and we're funded by the Department of Levelling Up Housing and Communities, which means we're pretty much available free of charge for most things. If you're working for a local authority or a home improvement agency and want help and support with home adaptations, home improvements, disabled facilities grants, we're here to help and assist. I'll talk a little bit more towards the end about some of the things that we've got coming up over the next few months. So I think most of you are watching on the Foundations website, so that's good for you to find your way to our website, but we're also available across social media platforms, and particularly if you want closed captions, they're available on X, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube. So you can find closed captions in all of those places, and it records this Foundations Live as well. So if you want to watch it on demand or recommend it to other people afterwards, you can find it on social media as well as on our website. So just a couple of things I just wanted to flag, and one of them is around DFG stories. So on social media at the moment, we're sharing DFG stories. So they're kind of good news stories of people who've had their homes adapted through DFGs and the way it's improved their lives and also improved the situation for health and social care. So we're trying to change the narrative around DFGs, which quite often it's kind of the bad news stories that make the press. So we're trying to change that narrative a little bit, just reminding people of the good news that and kind of the good stories that all of you create on a daily and weekly basis. So, but for us to share those stories, we need you to share them with us first. So if you've got a story nearby where you are, if you're on the website, there's a page called DFG Stories. If you could just spend 5 or 10 minutes at some point just giving us, don't tell us to be 100 words or so, nothing, not War and Peace, just something we can put out on social media so we can start to kind of change that narrative and just remind people of all the good work that DFG does. That'd be very much appreciated. Right, so this afternoon, as I said, we're talking about kind of home extensions and DFGs, and kind of usually when I've been kind of talking about complex adaptations and things in the past, I've been talking about how the number of maximum grants, which have been kind of 30,000 for the kind of period on that slide, have decreased kind of year on year over the last 10 years or so, from an average of 7 per local authority in 2009-10 down to about 3.2, so just over 3 per local authority in 2020-21. Slightly increased in 21-22, but the latest figures that are in now for 22-23 from the Delta returns that local authorities submit every year, as that's increased again. So the most maximum grants and presumably extensions as well for 10 years were done in 2022-23. So obviously very timely that we're now talking about this today. And if you've been involved with DFGs and home adaptations and home extensions, you're probably quite used to a scene like that where there's lots of mud, lots of disruption, lots of digging, lots of mess for quite a long period of time. So we've got a couple of aspects today that are going to be talking about different ways of doing home extensions without quite so much of this mess. So, first of all, I'm going to welcome back Alex and Elias from Green Modular Construction, and over to you to talk us through your approach to adaptations.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex.
Elias.
So I like that last picture you showed of the kind of Battle of the Somme and the water and the mess and what have you. So yes, we're GMC Solutions, and we set up a company to try and overcome that sort of problem. Basically, we set up in 2 years ago with the sorry, just getting there. There we go. So set up 2 years ago with the focus on producing off-site modular extensions. So they're built in a factory, completely finished, and brought to site and craned into place. This allows for a kind of hassle-free experience for the client. We like to think it's hassle-free, and it's obviously a lot quicker than traditional construction. Hold on one second. I'm just trying to get
this presentation.
Okay. So our vision is, as you were saying, the government is finding it difficult to keep up with producing the number of, not only houses, but DFGs. And we feel that we can plug that gap by making things quicker and more cost effective. So yes, we provide bespoke modular construction that gets craned in to the back of side or the back of the property, and we can do it in literally a quarter of the time.
So how we do it is, the three processes. I'm trying to figure out this presentation. Three processes. So it starts in the factory. So once all of the sort of planning stages are up, everything's decided with the client. The boys get to work in the factory. All our materials are sourced locally, and usually we'll have the stock for most of the things due to the timber frame the way we do it. Once we've built it, we'll go through the sort of speed and the build process later on. Once we've built it, a truck comes to site, comes to the unit in Barry, picks it up in the morning, drives to the site with the crane. The crane then picks it up off the truck and puts it into wherever it's going, usually, as you said, back or side of the house. And usually we'll have this done by about lunchtime. The whole process on site for the install is usually about 2 to 2.5 hours by the time the crane's set up and set down, but usually the lift itself is only about half an hour. And then once it's in place, the final installation begins, which is usually about a week and a half, depending on if there's more groundworks for us to do, for example, patios and stuff like that. But everything inside of it is already pre-fitted, so all the electrics, all the plumbing. So we'll have toilets on, sinks on, tiles, shower boards, whatever it is, flooring. So it's a case of just hooking it up to the house, and it's ready to go. So usually we can get a extension up and running within a day to 2 days, and then after that it's more making the opening with the house to sort of give that seamless look between the two, and then any groundsworks and a bit of guttering and stuff like that. And then we've got specification. It's bigger.
So that's the kind of typical bedroom wet room that we do, and you'll not be surprised that it's the standard wet room with kind of vinyl flooring, non-slip vinyl flooring lapped up the walls. We insulate our properties using a product called Superquilt, which is a multi-layered thermal wrap, as you were. So not only is it better or more efficient than traditional insulation, it actually wraps the property, so it makes it airtight, again leading to better thermal performance.
A lot safer to install as well.
Yeah, it's a lot nicer to install than cutting up insulation boards. Externally, the finishes can be either render, cladding, brick slips, timber cladding, whatever, either your choice or what planning have deemed acceptable. Internally, flooring in the bedroom is either luxury vinyl tile or carpet or laminate, and the wet room is obviously non-slip vinyl. The ceilings are constructed with solid timber joists, so if you require a hoist either at the time of the installation or later on, then these can be fitted as they would in a normal traditional extension. And then we can customize it to however you want. If you wanted a pitch roof, if you want solar panels, skylights, whatever, it's absolutely fine. It's the same as a traditional construction.
So benefits. This took a while to shorten because there's quite a lot over traditional construction and just in general. But a few of the benefits. So we have sustainability, much more sustainable. There's a lot less waste. A lot of our offcuts can be reused. Stuff isn't left on site. The weather doesn't dictate a lot of our things, so we're not going to get tools damaged, stolen, lost. They're all in the unit. They stay organized. A lot of our materials are sustainable as much as we can. The lifespan of the pods is at least comparable to traditional, if not more. As we say, they're completely sealed, they're completely tight, and well built, and you know what you're getting. Anyone can turn up at any point to our unit and they'll see the exact same. There's nothing hidden, and yeah, you always know you're going to get the best. Recyclable, so yeah, a lot of our stuff is recyclable. We have recycling bins. We have a wood bin for people to take any excess wood that's available for firewood, so anything we can't use outside the unit. Usually every week it's cleared, so any spare wood, that's not going in the skip. People are taking it. And also the whole pod's recyclable, which is something that we might go into if we've got time in later on. But essentially we can pick the extension back up from where it is and take it back to the unit and move it somewhere else. So we have one actually in the next few weeks for Cardiff Council, an end of life scheme where people come out of hospital, and instead of the money spent on hospital fees, which can get quite ridiculous if they're in there for months, we essentially can build multiple pods, store them, and then we get a week, 2 weeks, and all we need is that. Get the groundswork done at the property, put it in. They have their end of life in a place that is, well, it's in their home and it feels like their home, rather than any sort of care pod that you can get, or in their living room or kitchen or something like that. It feels like their home, dignified way to die. Once they've passed or anything like that, then we can pick it back up, take it away, make good the ground that was there. We can have limited impact on the ground because we can use a foundation called ground screws instead of pads, which are basically giant screws, so they can screw back off out of the ground, and it'll be like we've never been there. So that's something we're looking at doing. So, you know, the whole thing is recyclable. The carbon footprint is low. All of our workforce is local. Our materials, about 90% of them are in our industrial state. We use the builders merchants in our industrial state. All of the screw fixes, all of the local shops in our industrial state for most of our stuff. Usually walk down there and grab them. As I said, weather isn't affected. There's fewer defects due to the weather. You know, you're not going to get insulation that's soaking wet. You can sometimes see buildings as you drive past, and their insulation is soaking wet because they haven't got time to finish it off. We never get any of that. One point of contact, chartered surveyor. So you know you're getting professional advice all the time. We meet or exceed, depending on England, Wales, the building regulations that are in place, for example, insulation values and everything like that. And we give comprehensive warranties and guarantees, 5-year structural, 18-month workmanship. The customization, as sort of alluded to in the previous slide, it's as bespoke as they come. You can have different things inside, different things outside. We've had different shapes. We've done L-shaped pods. We've done pods with cutouts, adaptations for disabled use. We've done ramps. We've done we have grab rails. We've got Geberit toilets. There's a whole any sort of disabled adaptation you need, we can add on to that. With him specializing in disabled adaptions as a child surveyor. Safety, again, you get the climate controlled environments. The boys will never get wet, cold, ill, mud everywhere, and the hazards are much smaller. We have equipment, we have platforms for working on, towers. You don't have uneven ground to work with on ladders. You can use a forklift for any major lifting. So there's a lot less chance of hazards, which in this industry is quite important. Transparency, fewer parties involved. So same team all the way through, single point of communication. So, any issues, you can contact us any point, and we'll get them sorted. You're not going to have excuses about work overrunning and swapping between contractors because of disagreements. We haven't had that yet, and we don't hope to have it any point in the future. And our costs, the costs a lot of the time with traditional costs, hidden costs can be a big thing and something that people are worried about. With at the end of a job or midway through a job, all of these costs turn up that they hadn't accounted for, and the builder's saying, "Oh, well, it's got to be done. You've got half a building. What do you want us to do? We've got to finish it now, otherwise, you're going to have half a building out the side of your house." Because of the way we do it, because of the off-site nature of it, we're able to predict the costs a lot more accurately. It's basically the same every time, and you obviously don't get the half-finished product. You get it all in one. As we say, you can come down to the unit at any point. We've had clients come before they've had their extension. They've come during to have a look at it as it's being built, so you can see it all the way through. Same with councillors and all of that. Everybody can see it at any point. And then finally, due to the low carbon and how insulated they are, the running costs are low. They're very sealed. They're very warm. And they've got all of the sort of up-to-date measures to make sure that the ventilation is suitable as well. Speed is another point that I thought I'd make a different slide for. Speed is obviously one thing that a lot of people focus on and we focus on when we're doing our modular builds. So as you all probably know, traditional extensions can take a long time, you know, an average of a few months at least, depending on time of year and everything like that. Our pods take 3 to 4 weeks to build from the start to the finish. We usually build the entire pod in about 2.5 to 3 weeks, and this is before we're able to even expand, get a bigger team. We're hoping in the near future, with a bit more workload, we can get that down to producing one a week. But at the moment, yeah, we're doing one every 3 to 4 weeks. So as you see from the bottom right, our timeline. So in the 4 weeks or so of construction, the groundsworks would be in the first week. So I'd have the groundswork team go prepare the foundations, anything else that needs to be sort of prepared. When it gets installed, you then get a week, 2 weeks afterwards, as I said before, making good. And then I'll come back sort of a week later, make sure the client's happy with everything. If they're not, we'll make sure anything they're not happy with is sorted. And if they are, then away we go. And that's all sorted, really. The final point is hassle-free. How hassle-free it is. We all want a hassle-free life. So hassle-free for the homeowner is invaluable because of the limited time on site. You don't have the mess, you don't have the disruption, you don't have the noise. So people that are working from home, especially where we've been able to help with a lot of DFGs, is we have a lot of cases where the kids have sensory problems or they have behavioral problems, fairly extreme disabilities, where they can't deal with the noise, the mess, and everybody in and out of the house. So it avoids having to relocate them for an extended period of time, which obviously costs quite a lot of money. And in some cases, they haven't had to relocate at all, and they've been able to go to a friend's house for a week or a family member's house for a week whilst we do the works, and then it's all done. So there's no extra cost for any of that disruption, which we found is completely unique to this level of work. It cannot be done with traditional, and it makes a big difference to some families, most families. For the council and client, as we've said, it's one party to deal with every time. The costs are fixed. The quality of the product is always the same. The transparency is something that we really want to press, because I think transparency is missing quite heavily in the industry. So as you say, you can always see what you're getting. You can always talk to us, and essentially we just want to take out that stigma of building where you don't want to get an extension because you're scared that the builders are going to mess you around, screw you over, all manner of things. And it's generally not a pleasant process to get any sort of building works done. But certainly from our sort of 2 years in business now, we've pretty much only had extremely positive feedback, and all the clients are saying they can't believe how easy it was, how nice the boys were on site, and how comfortable they felt throughout the entire thing. So that is us for today. I'd like to leave you a few photos to have a look at, and then I'll put on a screen where it shows our contact details if you have any more questions after this recording or anything like that. Our Instagram is probably the best place for a variety of photos. We upload, it's usually most of the pods we install, I will put the pictures of it. So that's the best place for that. The best place for information is probably the website, and I slack a little bit on LinkedIn, so maybe not look at that as much. So yes, I think that would be the contact details. So any questions that anyone has, feel free to fire away and we'll answer them.
Great, thank you both. I'll just leave those contact details up there a minute, then we'll give people a chance to note them down. We've got quite a few questions. Some of them I think were asked before you, and then you answered them while you were speaking. But there were a few questions around groundworks in particular. So this is one from Carol, which is kind of typical in terms of, I guess, kind of the groundworks and what you do in terms of, I suppose, either moving drains or building over drains, or do you need a separate contractor? How do you approach the groundworks?
We have our own groundworks team. So again, we use the same team each time. And yeah, that they do our foundations and the drainage.
So it's all the turnkey solution. Everything gets done in one. Yeah. Great. I suppose kind of there's another one. I suppose typical of local authority officer. I'm sure you'd expect. So kind of for the example you've shown, and I guess that this would kind of vary depending on the specification and the finishes, and it links into one of the other questions about kind of where you serve in the country. But is it possible to kind of give us a flavour of the kind of the cost for that size and scale of extension?
So yeah, as you say, they can vary. Usually it's less so the variance of the pods, and it's more so a variance of the groundworks and the crane. So it's the distance to the house. Obviously, cranes generally aren't cheap, and the amount of groundwork that has to be done, extra works and stuff like that. But the usual sort of ballpark is usually between 40 and 55, I would say. That covers most of the pods, so that would cover sort of from a 3x4 usually up to the bigger 6x4s. As you say, sometimes they can come under that. If there's a small pod limited groundworks, they can come under that, and sometimes they go over that if there's a lot of external works. But usually they sort of fall between that ballpark, but that includes everything, as we say, turnkey solutions. So that's the crane, that's the groundworks, the electrics, the plumbing, the fittings inside of it. That's everything.
Great. And in terms of, I suppose, just kind of turnkey solution, do you handle kind of plans and planning permissions and building regs as well, or how's that handled?
Yes. So I'm a chartered building surveyor, so I've also got my own practice. So quite happy doing plans and getting the planning permission with the local authorities, and building regs and build over agreements and all the other things we need. But yeah, that's fine.
In terms of, you mentioned cranes, are there any kind of restrictions in terms of, I guess, kind of houses you can't get to, or what's kind of the restrictions around kind of cranes and not yet.
Not yet. There's been some tight ones, but no. In terms of the reach, it's just get a bigger crane.
Yeah, how big's your crane?
How big's your crane? We did one last week, a few days ago now, 110-ton crane in Cardiff, and we have one sort of in planning that's about 40 meters, is it, away from the?
Yeah, well, it's actually it's a 2-story extension as well. Okay. And the front garden is 30 meters, and then you've got the house, and behind the house and the bit at the front. So yeah, we're talking kind of between 40 and 50 meters away. So it pretty much covers anything.
Yeah, big crane. And then usually, it's more the roads and stuff like that. But generally, because we'll do, sort of road closures for each one, I'll hand out flyers to all the residents in the sort of surrounding houses the week before. We've never had any issues from any of the people. We'll barrier it all off, cone it all off. So usually, yeah, the area is safe. So it's only if there's cars in the way that can be a bit of a headache. But there's usually no sort of limitations. And then in terms of once it's being lifted, the sort of amount we have each side, we've truly tested to the max in terms of how much we can give someone in the size of their garden. And yeah, if you need a pod, I'd rather you not, but if you need one with that much space either side to the fence, we can do that, because it is pretty accurate once it's lowered down. So we have done ones that are very, very tight to the boundary, and yeah, everything's fine. So yeah, haven't really had any major crane hurdles so far. except from wind. Wind is our biggest enemy, but
I can imagine. So there's a couple of technical, and I apologize, I don't think I'm going to get through all these questions. So hopefully, Alex and Lars, you've got time afterwards maybe to pop into the chat and answer some of these. But if I go on to a couple of the kind of few technical questions. So there's one around kind of extra support where there's kind of bariatric kind of patients or clients potentially, kind of strengthening the floors. I guess kind of potentially the ceilings as well, maybe for hoists. It kind of any structural issues?
No, I mean, we are, so our, I mean, if this person knows about structures, our floor joists and ceiling joists are 200 millimeters of deep timbers. So that'd be fine for anything.
Both at 400 centers, and yeah, we do hoists quite regularly. And we've had a few, the sort of larger patients, and all of the sort of necessary, disabled adaptations for that. They're they can be lifted up and moved around on a crane. They're strong enough for any of those situations.
Great. There's one about Nature Won't Be as good. I think you were saying that they're better thermally than brick and block.
Yes. Yes, we exceed the building regs thermal resistance in England because the Welsh, we're based in South Wales. The Welsh regs are actually more stringent than in England, but we build them to the Welsh regs wherever we are. So yes, because of we actually use 3 types of insulation on the walls, and so you won't get any mold or damp. And yeah, I mean, it is has a better thermal resistance than brick and block.
Great. So I'll just put 2 more up there. There's so many here, so we could be going all afternoon. But so in terms of lifetime and mortgageability, kind of how long do they last? And are there any issues with people remortgaging after they bought one?
This is a trickier question than the majority. So as we said, the lifespan is at least comparable. The problem with getting a set, I'm struggling to find a sort of company that will do a set, lifetime warranty for the whole product. And with mortgage companies, because modular is quite new, it's basically sort of up to the mortgage advisor, but I'm finding through research that they're becoming more and more accessible, and it's generally not a problem. And we've had one recently where they've literally checked with their mortgage advisors.
And we have fine with a mortgage broker. He went out to I think it's the big 6 mortgage brokers he was talking about, and came back with that they were all quite happy to lend on it.
Great. Let me just put one. I've lost the question I was going to share. So there we go. Final one. So order time. So from kind of initial inquiry through to the start of building, how long would that typically take?
So it usually depends. It's quite swings and roundabouts in terms of, or ebbs and flows in terms of workload. But generally we manage it quite well. That once the order is placed, we get the go ahead. And there's no sort of things sort of council side to figure out. Currently we seem to be doing sort of 1-to-1. So it's a matter of 2 weeks, 3 weeks. The most it'll ever really be at this point in time is about 6 weeks, if we've got a few stacked. But yeah, usually at the moment, we'd start building between 2 to 6 weeks, and it would be then done, a few weeks after that. So we usually say 8 week all in. With fitting it in with the other ones, you're only going to be waiting 2 months.
Great. Well, thank you both. I say there's still plenty of other questions in the chat, so if you're able to answer those, that'd be fantastic. But thank you for joining us this afternoon. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
Foundations Live.
Right, so just before we move on to the next presentation, just a reminder that if you are watching the website, it's also available on social media. And if you want to watch back, it'll be on demand on the website and on social media afterwards. If you've missed any of it or want to get your colleagues to watch any of it, it'll be available there afterwards. Right. So, just wanted to give a little bit of an intro to the next session where we're going to be talking about estimating the costs of extensions. And this was a complaint that went to the local government ombudsman back in 2020. And it was a complaint that was upheld against a district council, and it involved Mrs. C, who lived with her husband and 2 young children. And in 2016, she suddenly became a wheelchair user. The case itself didn't divulge any greater information than that, but the county council were involved kind of pretty much straight away. They went in and assessed Mrs. C and the family in the home, and they estimated that the cost of an extension with the kind of equipment and bits and pieces required would be £94,000. That was in 2016. By 2018, the district council and the housing team there were involved, and they'd kind of been working through the kind of potential scheme for about a year or so by that point, and the estimated cost had increased to £125,000. That the county had kind of said at this point that they would contribute some of the cost, so they kind of carried on developing the scheme, and then by June 2019, the estimated costs had gone up to £178,000, and then by October 2019, the costs had gone up to £226,000. At which point, both the county and the district said, "Look, there's no way we could afford to provide those adaptations," and so their kind of alternative was that they would look to work with a developer for a new build property. So over the kind of intervening 4 or 5 years, Mrs. C had to move into another bungalow nearby, so she hadn't lived in her own home for several years while this process had been ongoing. And the ombudsman looked at the case. They upheld the complaint against the district council and said that at the start they should have set a budget, even if it was an indicative one, because they would then have been able to work with the family, looked how much funding was potentially available, and develop a scheme and have the kind of conversations and kind of talked about the compromises necessary to adapt the existing home, rather than 3 or 4 years later coming to the kind of conclusion that it was an unaffordable thing to do. So if you're interested in kind of reading more about that, we've got a guidance page on our website at foundations.uk.com/guides. There's a guide there on managing complex adaptations, which has more details of that particular case and some of the resources in terms of managing that sort of kind of more complex situation. But now we've got with us some people who can help you with that estimation process.
Foundations Live.
So welcome Charles and Alex, who are from a company called Price Doctor, who have a very whizzy app that can very quickly and easily do these estimates for you. And I met Alex at the Home Building and Renovating Show, which must have been 3 or 4 months ago, I guess, Alex. Oh, you're on mute, Alex.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Yes.
Yeah. 3 months ago, back in March, it would have been.
Yes. So we've had a conversation since, and I think there's a lot of potential for using this as part of the DFG process. So I'll hand over to Charles and Alex to explain how it works.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Paul. Right, I'll just get our presentation up. Just a second. Present. There we go.
I'll just add it to the stage, and then there you go.
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, good afternoon, everyone. So Price Doctor is just a solution, a quantity surveying solution, and a job management solution. We've got 2 primary customers, being builders who use the job management system to manage their workload, and our quantity surveying service to price their work. And the other customer we deal with is homeowners and developers. So we help them streamline the costing, pricing, and then the tendering process so they can get the contractor that they need. So do you want to flick on, Alex?
Yeah, there you go, Charles.
Cool. So yeah, a little bit of a history. So we've been going a little while. Alex started in one stream, if you like, with QSurveyIt, which was an online building pricing system. And I come from a company called DIY Doctor, hence it's called Price Doctor, where we had a lot of homeowners coming to us saying how much does an extension cost. Effectively, the two ideas came together. And we've grown the business from there to be a service that offers both to homeowners and to contractors. And we offer pricing services and job management systems. Cool. So we've got a good team behind us. Obviously myself and Alex, and we're supported by a few others. Mike Edwards, who founded DIY Doctor. DIY Doctor is a website which helps homeowners. We probably get about 5 million users a year to the site, so we hope we do a little bit of good there. And of course, Jim helps us on the technical side. It's a very technical business. So yeah, as I said, what is Price Doctor? It is a pricing tool primarily. So we have a series of calculators. So whatever kind of operation in a domestic build that you'd like to put together, whether it be a new build or a renovation, we've got a calculator for that, and we'll be able to demonstrate. We'll work out exactly what the materials are and the costs. We update all our costs on a weekly basis, so it's all very current. And wrap around that for our contractors, we have a job management system. Conversely, for the homeowners and the developers, we have a tendering product which helps them to produce tender packs and evaluate the tenders and select their chosen contractor. Brilliant. So what we're going to do today is just go through a bit of a scenario, basically right the way from concept design. So that initial, and I think predominantly our work is traditional build, traditional contractors for homeowners, not necessarily with any disabilities. We do have some of our contractors who specifically work in this, and we're going to go through a bit of a scenario with them. But we're going to step back a little bit further and start with the original concept design. So perhaps when an OT goes to site and sees what needs to be designed, we'll show you how how Price Doctor can help you with that initial process, and then take you from an initial design and get an indicative price to produce a spec that you can give to a technical officer, an architect, which then they can plan and draw up drawings which we can submit for planning, which we can then price off, and then we provide a full QS service, which then will be used to generate the tender pack, which you can send out to a range of contractors, and then can be evaluated afterwards with whichever criteria you prefer, with whichever weighting you prefer. So what I'm going to do now is just hand over to Alex, and Alex is going to do a bit of a live demo of exactly how Price Doctor works, really.
All right, thanks, Charles. Okay, so what we've got with Price Doctor then, essentially we give you the tools to get an early indicative price for a project without needing to be an expert in construction. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to jump on to sharing the website, and we will run through a few things. Here we go. Right. Just wait for that to catch up. Here we go. Right. Okay. So where we are right now is just in the start of a project. So sort of phase one, your OT is going out to the client's property, and it's just that initial kind of touch point. Okay, what do we need to do for you? How can we go about getting what you need? So what you do, the OT will simply fill in this initial questionnaire. So it's about how big do you want the extension to be. So if you want a square or square rectangle just down the side or at the back, or an L shape to wrap around. Obviously, it's dependent on the space available. Then you just drop in your dimensions here. So straightforward enough. Let's go 6 by 3 point. Yeah, 3 that'll do. And then we've added in this extra section for setting our adaptions as well. So this list can be expanded further. This is just a sort of an example to show you what can be done. So we can then drop in whatever adaptions are relevant for the particular client and their needs. Perhaps any standard items will also need to go in. And once you're happy with that, you just fire up the design. And what that will do is it will then drop onto the page with a ready-made set of plans for you. What you can then do, you can customize this. So perhaps you've dropped in a particular size and you think, well, we're going to need a bit more space. We can just rejig the design here and it will refresh. So what it then does is it works out the price live as it's running. So you can make adjustments and you can see a real-time impact on the cost for the project. So you can see this has changed real-time up here. So you can then, you can move this furniture about. So you can get a feel for your layout. You can add your doors in and these sorts of things just to give you a feel for how the space is going to work for your client. And then the principle with this is that once the client OT discussion is complete, we then generate a design specification for you. So that transfer of information from the OT to the technical department is then much smoother. So you get design specification output. Sorry, I'm just going to have to change over to another screen a second. Design specifications. There we go. So still wait for that to catch up. There we are. So yeah, you get design specification document outputted from the platform. So this then just generates the sort of basic information, but that transfer of information between the OT and technical is then recorded. You've got all your basic specifications, which can then go be drawn up later on. So again, it's that smooth transfer of information between departments. So from this, what we would then do is you would go off to the architects. What we'll do is just bring up the presentation back up. Sorry, changing screens a few times here. Yes. So I just saw the question come up there, Simon. We can price essentially anything. It's not limited to just extensions. Okay. So we've priced all sorts of groundwork projects, new builds, huge renovations. We've done a few adaptation projects as well. So this is not new to us. Sorry, so the design specification was the one I just showed you. Apologies for that. So what we would then suggest is using us for a pricing service. So what you would do is you go off that thing you need for. Sorry, do you want? No, there you go. So your architect will obviously go and do the architectural stuff. So draft something that will work for the client, and then what we would suggest is you then come to us with those plans, and we would do a pricing service for you. So we'll do a full QS takeoff of those plans, and that will then give you a very detailed breakdown of the project. So you get a very good idea up front of the costs associated with the works, and then you can obviously go through the process and manage this site much better. So I'm just going to show you some of the exports we produce, okay? So what we do is we take all your plans from the platform and we run all the data points in, and then what it does is produces a detailed breakdown of the process, all the costs involved, how long each room is going to take. So this particular project was a disabled adaptations project. So it was a renovation of an already adapted property that had been left for a number of years, and it needed bringing back up to standard for somebody to move in and use. So we basically worked with our client on this and ran through the whole project step by step, priced everything in, all the adaptations, all the work. And yeah, it gives you a very detailed setup for all the bits you'd need in producing all your key data points, so you can essentially run the project. And obviously, if you're going out to tender, you need to have the right documents with you to do that. So we can also produce a bill of quantities. So when you're going out to tender, you can make sure you get all the right items costed up without having to go through the heavy lifting of producing that information. We've also got GANs produced from the system. So what it's doing is, rather than just going through and saying, okay, here's a list of materials, this is what it's going to be, we work out all the durations for all the tasks as well. So rather than just saying you're going to build a 10 square meter wall, you need this many bricks, we'll say you're going to build a 10 square meter wall, you need these bricks, and the builders will be on site for 7 days doing it, and they will need these extra materials en route. So that's the kind of data you get back out from a pricing service. And then finally, we've got our tender pack. So what you get is your bill of quantities, which is obviously the key part of your tender pack to make sure that everything's priced up when you go to tender. And then we're just going to jump back into the website one more time. So we've got some functionality for managing tenders within this as well. Okay. So there it is. So we're back on our project. Just wait for this to catch up. There we go. So we've got our tender management section here. So once your pricing is all done, we've got your schedule of works. We've got all the tendering details here, so you can then do all the quote management. And this is also client facing if you want it to be, so you can get your client involved with the process. And yeah, it gives a nice mechanism for tracking and managing and costing work. The key takeaway being that you can obviously get to these costs very early without any initial design input, other than I want something this big, rather than needing to get an architect and a builder in and get several stages through the process before you realize the affordability is not there. So you can sort of get that go, no go very early with much less time investment. Right, so I'm just going to jump back onto the presentation. So last time we'll change the share, I promise.
Great. I think that's one of the hazards. Alex is in South Wales and I'm in Somerset, so we're definitely a sort of national company in that respect.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, once you've evaluated the tender, we're just going to close down quickly and finish off here. So I just want to. Yeah. So yes, just oh, catch it. Yeah. So yeah, I think what I wanted to just go through is obviously we are a business that works predominantly with contractors and builders, and the other side of the business is for homeowners and developers. And a lot of this work is very similar to the process that developers would go through in terms of getting initial cost estimate. So trying to find out very quickly and cheaply what it's going to cost to adapt the home to what you need it to, whether it's a no-go or go or no-go. Once you've done that, it's moving on through the process in terms of getting a really detailed price, getting an understanding of that, generating a tender pack so you can get tenders back from contractors, and then evaluating those so that you can pick the best fit for the project going forward. Everything, all the development's done here in the UK, so we can customize for specific customers, and we've got some built-in customizations for different stakeholders. So that's all done UK, and all the support is UK based as well. Obviously, you've got hundreds of contractors using Price Doctor, and we've had over 4,000 homeowners go through the Price Doctor process. So it's an established organisation. I'll be honest, we haven't done a huge amount of disabled adaptions, but we have done a few from our existing contractor base. The builders that we have on board, they do come to us sometimes with disabled adaptions and extensions. Great. So I've got it's a bit of a plug. Is one of our builders quotes. He feels we're a bit of a game changer, and so yes, you can please have a read of that, and hopefully you will believe that we're a game changer too. And then finally, here's our contact details. So please do get in touch with us if you've got any questions. There's lots of information on the website. The website is really geared towards our existing user base, which is developers and homeowners and contractors and builders. So, but yeah, please do get in touch with us. We do obviously work with others. We work with others, quantity surveyors, etc., in different guises. So yeah, please let us know if you've got any questions.
Great, thank you. I'll just leave those contact details up for a second. Been a couple of questions. So from Julie, how do you factor in cost differences between different parts of the country?
I'll take that one, Charles. So so we use the industry standard price book SPONS for our labour rates. We've also got, as we're national, we've got kind of a live feed on labour rates across the country with our current client base. So we've got a pretty good handle on where costs are. Just in terms of the build costs as well. So we track all of our material prices, and they are refreshed weekly automatically for you. So if you did an initial plan for a project and then you needed to refresh the prices, it's a couple of clicks and you're done, rather than having to go through the whole process again.
Great. So I suppose if somebody's watching now, they've got a perhaps a extension that they're looking to design for a property, kind of bedroom, bathroom with various fittings in, and they're kind of interested in getting that initial costing. What's the kind of process for that, and how much would it cost them, and what would be involved in, I suppose, just getting those kind of initial estimates of how much a project will cost?
Yeah, so I think, yeah, no worries. I think at the moment, so for homeowners and developers, you can use the website for free, and then it's a cost to extract the data. I think in this scenario, obviously we've not worked in this scenario yet, and I think there's a conversation to be had if there's any interest. And what we tend to do, certainly the similar model, is more with the contractors, where we charge a subscription rate for unlimited use over a period of time. So I think this isn't our natural sector, as it were. We haven't really thought about this sector until you contacted us, Paul, and so I think we're looking to see how we can help, and we've got all the tools. It's just making them available in the right way, in the right format.
Yeah, as kind of said before, I obviously came and saw Alex at the Home Building and Renovating Show, and I saw it when I came a couple of years ago, and I think the software is quite simple to use in it to get an initial estimate of an extension cost. It kind of, within a few minutes, you can get a pretty good idea of what the cost's going to be, and then I suppose it's kind of you can take the other options as you go forwards. But if anybody's looking at designing an extension at the moment, I would think it's definitely worth spending half an hour every time at pricedoctor.co.uk just to look at the options and the information it can give you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Paul.
Great. So thank you both. If anyone wants more details, you can find them all at pricedoctor.co.uk. Thank you both.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks.
Foundations Live.
Okay, so we've done green modular construction. We've done Price Doctor. So our final presentation of the afternoon, I will welcome Ultraframe.
Foundations Live.
So welcome back, Julian, and
hello, Paul.
You to tell us all about the Ultraframe product.
Lovely, thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all still wide awake and with us. It's a bit disconcerting to know there's hundreds of you out there and I can't see you, but hopefully you can see me okay in the presentation. So I'm just going to pull that up now, and then put that onto. Showing. Is it not showing? Bear with me for a second. Sorry about this. We're just trying to get the presentation to share on the screen.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I will come back to you in a second. Just while we're waiting, just remind people that The DFG Champions Facebook group is still up and running, and if you want to join, that's where we put all the details of upcoming things like the DFG Champions Roadshows. So, yeah, if you're not already a member, join about 2,700 of your colleagues from across the country. Excellent. Right, I can see that. There we go. We've got your presentation.
Hi there. I think my technical assistant has helped me out immensely. Sorry, I can't hear you. Sorry, can you see that okay, Paul? Can you?
Yeah, we can see the presenter's view, but yeah, we can see the slides.
Okay. Right, I'm just trying to.
Or if you click on the
is that
reading. Oh, yeah, we can see it. We can see it.
You sure you can see that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon again, everyone. Sorry about that. Well, I would say up front, obviously we're Ultraframe. We've got a HUP extensions system that I want to talk to you about today. And you can go to huphome.co.uk. And if you want any more information, there's a contact us form on there, or you can find in the click on HUP Builders, and there's a contact form. So if you've got any questions there, please go that route, and we're delighted to get back to you. We have been around for 40 years. We've been off-site manufacturing for a long time. We reckon there's about 1.5 million extensions out there where there's one of our products in existence today, and about 40,000 extensions a year either take our roofs or walling or combination of. So our system can build absolutely anything with any finish. It's extremely fast to build, 5 times faster broadly than traditional build. Very easy to project manage. The wall performances exceed building regulations. They tend to be slimmer as well, so you get 5 to 10% more space through a HUP extension than you would do through a traditional extension. Very strong but light too. So again, if you've got an existing base out there today, then it's even cheaper and easier to build. It's de-skilled, the building process, about 60% less carbon than traditional build. You can build in any weather at all, no mess and disruption. We're also well versed in the fenestration industry. So if there's any benefits of glass anywhere in the system that you'd like to put in there, then our system accommodates all that performance glass. Building regs is made easy. The whole system has been approved, pre-approved, and it's much cheaper to build with HUP because the amount of labour required is significantly less. So we have one of the unique attributes that we have is our own software, and our CAD software that allows you to design any extension in about 10 to 15 minutes with a little bit of training. You don't need any other formal qualifications or skills. It allows you to specify the whole extension, which then at the press of a button can allow you to price it instantly as well, so you can know what the costs are going to be. And then it's an automated process where that goes into manufacture. Bespoke manufacture, our factory is much more like an automated car manufacturer where in cells, specific tasks take place. So it's very efficient and effective. It's near zero waste on our system, which I'll demonstrate in a moment, both in the factory and on site. And it allows us to make sure as well it's always extremely high quality. You can't get it wrong on site because it comes inch perfect or millimeter perfect out of the factory. And I'll tell you a little bit about that as well. And we have a distribution network throughout the country, and our lead times. Obviously, once you press the button, you can design that yourselves, or we can design that for you. If there are anything specifically that you need or questions like specific equipment that or structural advice, then we have a team of chartered engineers and a structural engineer in the business. But actually, we've also got our own software team. So again, if that's something, Paul, when we talk about this, that there are some features here that we'd actually want to put into our software, then we can do that as well and make that easy specification possible as well. So that's a real attribute to our system. Just a little bit of the technology. It's globally patented. We've got a clever way of connected timber steel to other hybrid materials, including steel. It captures and holds the insulation. It can be any type of insulation. They come together, lightweight, clip together with steel clips and screws in there. You create a very strong I-beam and very thin. So for any given amount of insulation, the walls are as thin as you can possibly make them, but extraordinarily strong. So we have a number of panels for extensions. We tend to standardize around the EPS panel because that's the most cost efficient for the effective performance per cost and balance of space and weight. But we have a variety of solutions, including non-combustible solutions as well. Our technology over the last few years, we've earned the badges. So we're BBA accredited, and we've also, our technology is now being used to build houses, and we've got NHBC accepts as well. So we're fully accredited for our technology to build houses, and we're now building not only roofs, but we've building whole houses out of our technology. However, our core business, our main focus is extensions. And our walling and system goes together very quickly. It's built on site. We talk about building in days. We've got a whole variety of roof solutions: flat roofs, glass roofs, solid roofs, flat roofs, tile roofs, everything, and any finish is possible on the walling as well. And as I said earlier, we actually perform better than building regulations. If it is in Wales or Scotland, then we've got membranes that go on the outside as well that actually bring that down even further, giving us, again, much better space utilization. So here's a good example. This one was a dilapidated conservatory, which was transformed into an extension. Because our system is super strong, but also lightweight, you can actually build on existing bases. Our system has been pre-approved by building inspectors to be able to do that, so you won't have any problems with paperwork or waiting for the building rig process. And now, obviously, very quickly we can transform old conservatories into fantastic new extensions or new build extensions, whatever you're wanting to build. This is a good example. This is one of the earlier ones we did a couple of years ago, where in 4 days we basically got the whole envelope, exterior envelope and structure watertight and ready to go. And in 2 weeks, that was, well, just under 2 weeks, that was the full finished room and solution. We've got videos of the homeowner, and we'll have it on our website. And we've done huge amounts of case studies now. We must have something like 50 odd case studies, various places on our websites and social media. This is a home extension, a bungalow, which was extended. This was in Cambridge, actually. One of the early ones that we did as well, basically doubling the size, almost doubling the size of the bungalow in the first place. And again, this was actually interesting because it was quoted by a builder coming out of COVID and price increases, was quoted at £106,000. And the installer using our system actually charged £73,000 for the whole job. You can see there on day 7, there's still some work going on inside, but the outside is completely finished. So in terms of benefits, just to recap, really extremely fast to build, easy to project manage, wall performance that exceeds building regulations, more space inside because of the slimmer walls for any given quality of thermal performance. Very strong but light too. D-skill build process, quality assured. It comes out of the factory pristine, and the insulation guaranteed to be in place and right every time. Zero waste, because again, any waste in the factory, the steels are roll formed ourselves. We cut to length. There's zero waste on the timber, and any waste on the insulation can be reblown. So very good, credentials from that point of view. Very environmentally friendly. Obviously, one of the other benefits of our system, it's very lightweight and can be transported when necessary through houses. So for terraces or situations where you've got difficult access, then it's even better process where we can actually make sure there's a zero mess, but you can access very difficult to get to locations and back gardens. Windows and doors ordered at the same time. It's always the steel system means it's millimeter precision perfect. So and again, we can over time we could order. We obviously in the fenestration industry, we can make sure we provide as much of the extension as over time we'd like us to. But we give all the specifications and all the measurements for windows as well at the same time. as I say, 60% less carbon than traditional build. You can build in any weather. There's no mess or disruption. You can put glass any way you want or not want in the system. I say the building regulations piece I talked about, and our bespoke software allows you to specify and price it yourself there on the spot, so you don't even have to come for us for a quote. And we can train anybody in your organisation to be able to operate the software. And we have support on hand all day, every day. If there's anyone needs that support in any design they're doing, we operate fixed pricing, so we don't have contracts where we up and up price every time as we go. We commit to our quotes, and overall we find we should be cheaper to build than traditional because of the significant saving in labour time in the process. So it should be anywhere between 5-10% cheaper, or possibly 25-30% cheaper, like that example I gave you earlier. Here's a So hopefully, there you go. We've got a number of videos of very excited and happy builders and tradesmen who can see the benefit in our system. We also got association with Laura and Jane Clark. Laura's been great. She's our brand ambassador and extremely supportive. And again, is on hand to give testimonials and support our brand and our venture. We're able to give training to surveyors, specifiers, builders, and we tend to like to train so that you can have one point of contact to make it really efficient communication between us, supported by our technology. So that was it. Hopefully, I was given the brief to be under 15 minutes and then to be able to take questions. So I don't know if I've done that, Paul, or not. You can let me know.
Yeah, just about spot on, Julian. So in terms of where to start, so I think in terms of kind of our first present, you're kind of a little bit different on you in terms of you don't actually build them yourselves. You're kind of the manufacturer of the system, and you work with local builders to provide these systems. You kind of train them, and they order from yourselves.
I struggled to hear you there, Paul. I lost you a little bit on that. But in terms of, I think I heard a bit about a question about training. And we're geared up. We run training courses throughout the UK. We run training in specifying the product and train the builders. And quite often we'll attend first builds of our system to make sure that everybody, gets off to a flying start and knows what they're doing. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, I was saying that rather different to the kind of first company we spoke to, you kind of provide the systems for local builders, so you're kind of very much involved with training them and working with builders rather than doing the building yourself. Yes. So our model is very much about supplying to the builder, and making sure that what we've got is very easy to build and obviously is quality assured. So we're obviously building houses now, which are going up in where we are using craned on solutions as part of that. But we find that for extensions, it's much better. Actually, our system goes together so quickly and is lightweight, and that you don't need the obstruction of cranes and other things on site. So most of what we do is goes to the builder, and then they're able to install it very quickly. We have we have complete support, so we have technical people on hand, throughout the day. So if there's any questions in live time, then we're able to do that. We're able to get things around the country in a 24-hour response should anything be needed to support. And it's all about making sure that the build goes perfectly and fast. So what about kind of building regs? How would you achieve kind of building regs for the system?
Well, we've managed to get building reg pre-approval. So in the system when we everything we design our software and our systems means it will automatically be specified to building regs. So and we've got pre-approvals of that through companies like Spilma and Ascent. So the building regs is guaranteed as part of the process. But so you know when you get the design on our software that's going to be building reg compliant. Okay.
And do you have a list of contractors that are already trained and already experienced in using Ultraframe for extensions?
Yes. I mean, our network tends to be through the home extension installer market. But increasingly, we're finding now we've brought the hub extension solution to market about 18 months ago. We're now finding we're being huge amounts of builders are coming to us and saying, we're very interested. How do we do that? So we have training courses. We hold their hand. We make sure all the specifications available online and all the design is online. And we're currently working through. I mean, we're targeting next year. I say to be able to do between 6,000 and 10,000 additional extensions next year. So clearly, we need to have mass tools that support mass adoption and mass support to achieve those sort of numbers.
So, and I suppose just kind of reflect on some of the questions we had earlier. So in terms of kind of structural capability and kind of bariatric patients or kind of clients, can you kind of take the point loads for hospital beds if you've got particularly large clients?
I've got Andrew, our technical director,
okay,
who I think might.
Okay, I'll bring Andrew in.
Hello there. Yes. So just mute yourself, Julian.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry. Hello there. So yeah, our system is a walls and roof solution only. We don't provide a foundation solution with it. So therefore, at the moment, traditional foundations are required. There are some of our customers who do use steel bases based on piles, so that is an option that can be offered with a similar to the green solution product. We can be on piles as well. People do that, but the vast majority of what we do is on a concrete basis, so there wouldn't be any issue with the loadings.
Okay, and perhaps while you're on, Andrew, in terms of length of warranty or how long they're expected to kind of last, do you have a kind of a particular lifespan?
As part of our BBA certification and NHBC accepts, we have a minimum 60-year life expectancy, and obviously NHBC being an insurer, that's recognised by mortgage companies as well.
Great. So if somebody's kind of interested in from a local authority in terms of using Ultraframe as a kind of an extension product or an extension solution, where's the best place for them to start? Is to kind of contact yourselves, or what would you recommend?
The best place to start is direct contact with ourselves. We have a website, and we will contact you. We have a number of local installers who can actually come and speak to you directly as well. But the first port of call is direct through our website.
Great. Great. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Julian. I think that's been very, very useful introduction. So can you just remind us of your website address again? Oh, sorry, you're on mute.
It's hub-home.co.uk.
Great. Thank you, Julian.
Foundations Live.
Right, that brings us to the end of today's Foundations Live. So thank you to all of our speakers. So we heard from GMC at the start, then Price Doctor, and you've just heard from Ultraframe as well. Various different options around the always tricky issue of building home extensions when it comes to adaptations and DFGs. I'm sure it's something we'll return to in future shows and events. So just a few things that we've got coming up. We've got the DFG Children's Summit at the end of this month. I think all the tickets for that have now gone, which is good news if you've got a ticket. Not so good if you haven't, but we're looking forward to a good day in Birmingham at the end of June. The this year's entries for the National Healthy Housing Awards, that will be launched towards the end of this month as well. So if you want to join us at a brand new venue in Manchester with a brand new host and a bit of magic, we would love to see you there in December. We'll be going on tour with some bathroom adaptation manufacturers around September and October for a technical training tour. So if you're a technical officer and want to get up to date on that, see our social media for details on that. We've got a range of network meetings coming up. So they're either based on roles. We have technical officer meetings, caseworker meetings, OT meetings. So if you're interested in taking part of any of those, you'll find the details on the website, as well as we do have some regional meetings for some areas of the country. But if there's demand, always happy to put more of those on as well. Foundations Live will be back in July. We've got a little bit of a one-show type mix of bits and pieces that we'll kind of round up before the summer break. And the DFG Champions Roadshows will be back in September. So we'll be out and about doing 5 or 6 venues across the country in September and October. And all the details of that, as I mentioned before, will be released first on the Facebook group. So if you're already a member of the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/DFG Champions, you'll be able to find all the details there. And then Foundations Live will return in September. So if you've got any thoughts or suggestions for what you'd like us to cover at future Foundations Live events, please do drop us a line. It'd be good to get your feedback on that. So you can either do it by emailing us at info@foundations.uk.com, or you will get an email after this if you've been watching on the website, asking you to give feedback and comments. So you can include your suggestions there. And that's also where you get your CPD certificates. If you leave your feedback and your email address, you'll get a CPD certificate sent back to you. So that's all for this afternoon. I hope you found that useful and interesting. I certainly have. I think it's been one of the most popular Foundations Lives we've done for a while. So I'm sure it's a topic that we'll be coming back to. Hope you found it useful. On the website, there's in the guide section, there is a section on complex adaptations, which talks about some of the things that we've discussed today as well. So very much recommend that you guys go and have a look at that. I think it's a really useful guide. But thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.